a series of novels by the British author Kim Newman. He's most famous for being a columnist in Empire magazine, but he's also a fantastic writer. He's written quite a few novels. Anno Dracula is his best. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm a really big fan of Kim Newman. So they've just all been reissued by Titan Books. He actually published them originally quite a few years ago. And I would recommend getting these versions if you're going to buy them. They're really poshly put together and quite nice, and obviously they're more uniform than the old series. And the original ones, I mean, I had to buy them from America, and they were really expensive. Like, it was worth it because it was a good story, but you know, it was only just worth it. So the first one, which is just called Anno Dracula, absolutely brilliant. It's set in Victorian London. The concept of the whole series is that there's a point in Bram Stoker's Dracula where the heroes face off against Dracula, and it's only by force of their sort of resolve that they win out. So Kim Newman takes the point of, well, what if they didn't have that resolve, and then therefore sort of the domino effect of Dracula succeeding in his plans, etc, etc, etc. So then a year later, Dracula has now taken Queen Victoria as his bride, and he's basically outed vampirism. So all the famous vampires from out of Europe have come to Britain to live outwardly. So it's filled with all of these sort of other literary references. So it's very similar to the most obvious one being Alan Moore's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and also Philip Jose Farmer's Walt Newton series of like Tarzan and Doc Savage and a few other characters that he's got in his. I'd say Kim Newman's is the best of those style of universes. I mean, I am a big fan of Alan Moore's, but I think that his series got really bad, and I didn't appreciate, well, I didn't like where the story went. And I also think that he has quite an unusual way of approaching a plot, which, like, I mean, I don't mind it, but it is kind of unusual, whereas Kim Newman is much more of a thriller kind of writer, so it's much easier to write and therefore is more fun. Therefore, since it's kind of a fun concept, it's just better in my opinion. So this first one is essentially Dracula, and then it's the story of Jack the Ripper, but the twist is that the unknown Ripper is killing vampires with a silver knife, and because vampires are part of the society now, it's considered a crime. So it's just kind of an interesting twist, and it's really, really good. It's absolutely fantastic. One of the best things about it is that all the main characters, or the top 3 main characters, are Kim Newman's own creations. So he's kind of woven them into this story, and what it means is that you're not applying your own opinions to those characters, whereas you would if, for example, the main character was Alan Quatermain. You already had an opinion on Alan Quatermain. So the first one's really good. He followed it up with The Bloody Red Baron, which is essentially set during World War One. Edgar Allan Poe is one of the main characters in it. It's not quite so good. Like, it is a really fun, enjoyable novel again, but yeah, it's not quite up there with the first one at all. Mainly because it's quite kind of depressing, because it's set during a war and everything's really kind of down and dark, and also because Edgar Allan Poe is like a real wet blanket. It can be a bit of a tough read, but it's worth it, and the ending's brilliant. And if you're into the story, it's just more of the story, and that's all you want, really. So yeah, it's really good. The third one is Dracula Cha-Cha-Cha, which the original title, or the American title, is Dracula Judgment of Tears. That sounds so much better. I don't know why he decided to change it. There's like a whole James Bond theme going on with this, and I think Cha-Cha-Cha suits that bit better. And it's also, there's that song, which is part of the plot as well. So this one is set in 1959. This one's very much a kind of Bond-style novel. So there's lots of spy kind of stories, lots of intrigue, things like that. But it's also heavily influenced by the Gallo movies and by The Talented Mr. Ripley. I mean, I love that book. So all the references are really cool, and it fits really, really well. It all seems to click. This is the second best in the series. Really love this. So the last one, the latest one he's published, is Johnny Alucard, which is a reference to the Hammer horror Dracula AD 1972. So the idea is that comes right up to the modern day. This is set, so it goes through the 80s, 90s, 1976, 1991. Okay, so it's not the modern day, but it's close to the modern day. I'll be honest, I was a bit disappointed with this one. Even though it's really well written, I love Kim Newman, like I said, I think he's a great writer. It's basically a collection of short stories that's been put together. He'd already written short stories over a long time, and then they've just fit them all chronologically into this one volume. I don't think it really flows as a single novel on its own. And although it said, all of the stuff before was saying this would be the final novel and this would be the end of the saga, it's completely open-ended in my opinion. And it doesn't feel like it's got a beginning, middle and end. It feels like it's got a middle and a middle, because it's just short stories going one after the other. So it's good if you wanted more and you got more. Here it is, more. But if you wanted that ending, you don't get it, unfortunately. So that's that one. But in general, it's a great series. It makes you really get excited about Dracula and want to watch Dracula. And all of the other stuff it includes, like the mention of the Francis Ford Coppola movie and some of the Hammer horror movies and all these other references. You immediately want to go out and check out all those references as well, because they just sound so interesting. So it's good for getting you into everything else as well. He's a very clever guy, a very great writer, and I would definitely recommend that series.